I have to capitalism so much harder. My therapist has been talking to me about like, oh, don't ask permission from people for so many things, but I'm not all the way there yet. And as a teacher on the internet, part of me works for you. So I'm going to explain myself to you a little. My first job out of college was teaching. I never pull books from over here because teaching and pedagogy books are part of my past life. Teaching, a famously lucrative job. Then I went to graduate school. Famously lucrative. No, I racked up tons of student debt because of graduate school. I do pull some books from the bioethics section because we're doing that. We're doing more bioethics. Then I transitioned to being a writer, and working on my first book is incredibly financially taxing time and intellectual investment. Let me just exhibit A and exhibit B and exhibit C in your general direction. One of the first books that ever changed my perspective on the role of technology in society was this one, Algorithms of Oppression by Safiya Noble. These two I cite a lot, Dr. Roberts and Dr. Benjamin. Race After Technology by I annotate all these things within an inch of my life. People ask me all the time, like, what is your reading system? How do you do this? How do you take notes? I don't want to be a dick about it, but part of the answer for how I remember so much stuff is I just work really hard behind the scenes to understand these texts. Now, to be clear, I know that the luxury of being able to read is not available to all people, so that is not useful advice. But annotating books within an inch of their life repeatedly and understanding just egregious amounts of things about them is a massive time investment. Look at the stack of books that is currently my tripod. Yale sent me this one, and Penguin sent me this one, and One World Books, the same people who wrote The Sum of Us by Heather McGhee, sent me this. Because of the size of my platform, I can get access to books like this for free, which is astonishing and something I am quite grateful for. But on November 5th, when my landlord is texting me telling me that the rent is late, he did not take kindly to me offering him a copy of Ned Blackhawk's The Rediscovery of America and Indigenous History, Native Peoples Unmaking of the United States History in lieu of payment. I would very much like to be sustainably and in a reasonable way getting books from here to here and then into all the cameras and on the internet. But I need a couple of things to change. Many of you are Patreon supporters, and many of you send cash for videos that I make on an ongoing basis, and that means the freaking world to me, and I don't want to understate how grateful I am for that. So I've actually been playing with the idea of setting up some sort of voting system where we pledge, I don't know, let's do a freaking little tiny GoFundMe for each of the books, and then whichever one gets voted on most by people like you is the book that I read. This is one possible option. But in truth, and this is an ethical transition in my brain, I do not want to extract more resources from you, the audience. I would much prefer the resources come from companies that have lots of disposable marketing dollars. Translation, I'm just gonna start doing an uncomfortable amount of brand deals. I have incomplete brand deals in my inbox that I'm working on right now. I have offers to do more brand deals in my inbox, but I'm not moving forward on them, in part because I'm afraid of this idealist perspective, this idealist criticism that oh, you're selling out by taking money from companies in order to read and write and research. I'm making this video so that you can understand why I'm making the choices that I'm making, and to hold myself a little bit accountable for the fact that I have to get over that pie in the sky idealism and live in the practical world that we're in now. When I was a teacher, I learned to do this. I could not spend infinite time on my lesson plans because I had to do grading, and I couldn't spend infinite time on grading because I had to do lesson plans. There's pragmatic trade-offs in every career that you make, and they don't seem morally nice, but they have to happen. And if we want to pull from the bioethics shelf for a minute, I've been thinking of doing brand deals according to what philosophers call the doctrine of double effect. Brand deals as an acceptable negative consequence in the well-intended, I would like to educate lots of people, and so I'll accept some collateral damage in the form of doing some morally iffy things like brand deals. But I'm going to challenge myself to be a little utilitarian, and you by extension. What do I mean by that? Utilitarianism is referred to the greatest good for the greatest number. There's a whole bunch of names. You've heard about this before, but the ends justify the means is one way that people sometimes say it, which can often be used as a way of arguing against it. I'm rambling. I need to wrap this video up, but what do I mean by this? I told you all that I was in the hospital. I was wearing a neck brace. I broke 3 ribs. I got a mild concussion. In the emergency room, I was waiting because there was a triage lady. lady. There were actual dozens of people who were all in emergency situations, and the triage lady's job was greatest good for the greatest number, and also to assess whether or not who was in the highest, most immediate need, and to make everyone else wait, even though, like for me, with my freaking broken ribs, it was intensely painful. I often think of utilitarianism as a, like, lower tier second cousin to forms of moral idealism. In fact, this book, The Education of an Idealist by Samantha Power, goes into this moral dilemma in quite detail. So in my understanding, I've been thinking of like, oh, I'm compromising by doing brand deals in order to educate people in the world. That is philosophically not necessarily true. We liberals love idealism, but if our idealism is paralyzing us or preventing us from action, it is actually working against the moral values that we claim to be our own. Incidentally, and as part of an aside, I wanted to do a video juxtaposing Samantha Power with Cassidy Hutchinson because it's a delicious, ridiculous juxtaposition. But I haven't been able to do it because I haven't been able to justify it financially. So I said it before, I'm saying it again. I'm going to start doing a whole lot more capitalist things on the channel. And I'm attempting to do them like unapologetically, as they are the things that will enable me to continue to do the work that I am doing. Thank you to everyone who's been supporting. Thank you to everyone who's been liking and commenting and sharing. It means a lot to get through the next phase of this. I have to change my strategy. That's all. Thanks for watching. I'm Charlie. I've been talking way too long. This is the longest vertical video I've ever made in my entire life. So thanks if you're still here. Bye. And also Patreon and Venmo and Cash App are also options, and buying things on my affiliate links is another option. So I want to swing towards corporate money, but I also, in the meantime, extremely appreciate everything that you have all done so far. I'm being repetitive and sappy. Okay, bye.